let's get right to it. Let's not waste any time. Jordan Poole and draft picks, the Washington Chris Paul Wizards to Golden State. My reaction, the draft picks are irrelevant. For Golden State, everything is on Steph Curry's timeline. That's also why they got rid of Jordan Poole. I was told after the Draymond Green punch to Jordan Poole that it was a culmination of many things. Jordan Poole trash-talking Clay, trash-talking Steph Curry, trash-talking Draymond Green. And inevitably, that chemistry and that fissure was never healed. There's video of the Warriors during the playoffs. Jordan Poole walking past and pushing Draymond Green. I'm not in any way saying he doesn't have a right to be bitter, and that relationship was never going to be close. But the truth is, it didn't get progressively better. And go ahead and blame Draymond. Draymond's more important to the team. You know, we see it all the time in sports. Two guys battle on a team, you get rid of the less talented or less crucial player. Draymond Green opted out because he can, and the Warriors are going to pay him more to come back. He is their best defender. He is often their best rebounder, best screener, one of their best passers, catalyst, heart and soul of the team. Curry is the shooter and scorer. Heart and soul of it remains Draymond. They're not the same team when he's off the floor. Jordan Poole comes off the bench and can add offense. But this is on Steph's timeline, and Poole is seen as just too immature now and going forward. Now, you say, well, they didn't get much for him. So let's talk about what you get for Jordan Poole. What's his market? What's his market? What the Warriors are telling you is when Steph Curry misses games, or when Steph Curry is on the bench, or when Steph Curry takes a rest during the playoffs, they don't trust Jordan Poole, who did not have a very big trade market. It wasn't like a lot of people were calling the Warriors asking about Jordan Poole, an expensive, albeit talented guard with immaturity issues. You look around the league right now, Zion Williamson's immaturity, Ja Morant's immaturity. Jordan Poole is a less talented version of those two. He didn't have much of a market. So what the Warriors were seeking is when Steph is out, missing, taking a breather, big playoff moment. Chris Paul's the grown-up who can fill in and lead the offense. I also believe it tells you something else. Because everything goes through Steph Curry. They gave him a heads up on this trade. He was fine with it. Does it tell you that Chris Paul believes he is going to have opportunities to start and play alongside Steph Curry? Because of Curry's capacity to shoot and ability, and because he's known as one of the great movers without the basketball, Steph Curry can slide over to the number two. Now, it would be a small backcourt. Chris Paul the point, Curry off ball. But Steph Curry is great off ball. And what this would allow, move off Klay Thompson. Just a thought. Is this the first of other moves? Because yes, Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, but then there's Gary Payton and Moses Moody. Again, 5 guards that need time. You know, you start looking at Golden State, and my takeaway is the signal I get is they're re-signing Draymond Green. They're not relinquishing Looney or Wiggins. Steph Curry is the face of the franchise. Is this a preemptive move to get Curry to play some 2-guard and move off Klay Thompson? Feels like it to me. The idea that Chris Paul he's just simply too old. Again, you're not asking him to play big games or big minutes. What you're crossing your fingers on is availability in important minutes, vital minutes late in the season. That's what you're making this move for. All right. I think Chris Paul comes into this situation eager, willing to restructure his deal, willing to come off the bench, willing to be the lead and let Steph play off the ball. I think a lot of this works because the Warriors called Chris Paul. He's a high IQ player and said, listen, we'd like to bring you into a winning culture. We're going to ask for some sacrifices. And I think Chris Paul at this stage in his career looked at the Clippers, really old, Kawhi and Paul George never available. Lakers, really old, Anthony Davis not often available. And then he looked at the Warriors and thought, Steph, Draymond, Wiggins, Looney. These guys won a title a year ago. So I think discussions were had between the Warriors and Chris Paul, his agent, Chris Paul, Steve Kerr, Mike Dunleavy Jr. I think Chris is going to Golden State with the idea of being part of a championship team. He knows where he's at this point in his career. And it is interesting. Porzingis to the Celtics is viewed as a big gain by Boston. Yet Boston doesn't have a title. Porzingis gets hurt a lot. They still don't have a facilitator at point guard. And Jaylen Brown and Tatum are still sort of clunky at the end of possessions, end of games. Yet that's perceived as a win. The often injured Porzingis, who has at times struggled to play with others. Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies, that is a win. They let go of Tyus Jones, a significantly more dynamic offensive player, for old Marcus Smart. That's viewed as a win. Tyus Jones to the Wizards. That's seen as a bit of a steal. He is a really, really talented young player. Why is there so much cynicism with winning point guard Chris Paul going to a championship culture? With Wiggins, Draymond, Steph, Steve Kerr. I think a lot of it is kind of a belief that this great dynasty has ended and now it's just older and going off a cliff. But weren't these same people excited for Chris Paul to the Lakers and Chris Paul to the Clippers? Kawhi and Paul George are never available. LeBron's giving you now 58 games a year, and Anthony Davis is giving you 60. Why are people excited in Los Angeles for Chris Paul to the Lakers that would take the ball out of the hands of Austin Reeves, who's not a natural two guard, and LeBron, who just came off his worst shooting year and doesn't play off the ball well? But they don't think it works in Golden State? Folks, basically, Chris Paul's a high IQ veteran player that will spell Steph Curry, high IQ veteran player, and allow Steph to occasionally play off ball. I don't see the miss here. You can't be excited about Chris Paul to the Clippers and the Lakers and then think it's a fatal mistake Chris Paul to the Warriors. He's going to have better, more reliable teammates with the Warriors, better culture with the Warriors, better teammate Steph Curry with the Warriors. I think it works. June is championship month in sports. NHL playoffs, NBA finals. Now, you can watch all this stuff on television, certainly, but there's nothing like live, and there's nothing like being there in person. For last-minute amazing deals on the best tickets to comedy shows, concerts, and your favorite sport, check out Game Time. Download the Game Time app right now. The redeem code is me, Colin, Colin. $20, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Go out and have some fun this weekend. Again, download the Game Time app. $20 off your first purchase. The redeem code is COLIN. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed at Game Time. Victor Wembanyama going number one, San Antonio Spurs from France. Over the course of my life, I have seen professional basketball pivot several times. So when I grew up, it was Wilt Chamberlain, the big centers, Bob Lanier, Nate Thurmond. You really had to have a dominant big to be a championship contender. It all started with Bill Russell back in the 60s. And then the emergence of skill and the dynamic athlete, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, that wing players were now more marketable, more explosive, more talented, and they could lead you to championships. And then, of course, we have seen the emergence of small ball, where centers, back to the basket centers, have been completely marginalized. Small ball warriors. Play small, play fast, hit threes. I do think the league is pivoting again, and a lot of it is the European influence of 7-foot-plus athletes from Europe who are highly skilled. Victor Wembanyama, 7'3", dribble, got the bag, shoot threes. Jokic, point center. Giannis, dominant player, both ends of the floor. So, and I think it's going to change the league that I feel over the next 4 to 5 years, maybe longer, that Giannis and Jokic will go back and forth like Bird and Magic did as best player, most influential player in the NBA. Now, Victor Wembanyama in about 3 to 4 years may surpass both, But I like the emergence of gifted, big European centers. And there's 2 reasons. One, I think the constant barrage of three-point shots can be boring. It's not terribly layered. I miss big men. I grew up, we all love what we love at 9 years old in sports, teams, players, cultures. I miss in baseball, home runs and strikeouts don't do a thing for me. I miss the extra base. I miss stolen bases. That's what I grew up with in baseball. That's why I'll always have a soft spot to some degree on running the football in the NFL. Like, I think it matters, physicality. In the NBA, I like centers. I like bigs. I like physicality down low. So that's the first part of it. The second thing is, I think you get a maturity with a European kid often over an American kid. American kids feel like it's their league. The AAU circuit, I don't think helps team basketball. I'm not sure it actually helps the individual. Steve Kerr said it fundamentally hurts the growth of a basketball player. The American kid grows up with a little bit more entitlement in the NBA. European players come in more mature. They play against older players. They come out of the academy system. Like all of us, they feel like visitors to America. There's a sense of loyalty, not being concerned with their brand. It's about winning basketball, being loyal to Milwaukee, being loyal to San Antonio, being loyal to a Denver or a Dallas. And I think that's good for the league. I don't think mobility is a bad thing. I have defended LeBron James and Kevin Durant for years. But I think ideally, you get players who go to a team and stay in that city for 15 years. Brady, New England. Mahomes, Kansas City. I mean, if you look at the NFL, Favre and Aaron Rodgers primarily stayed in Green Bay. It's okay if you leave at the end of your career, but I think that's one of the secret sauces of the NFL, is that great historic players stay in a city for 15 years. I think it's better served for the NBA to stars staying in their cities. Shaq's career was always amazing to me. I know he left and won a title in Miami, but I look at Kobe's career as greater than Shaq's career, and many historians don't, because my memories of Kobe are so positive through the Lakers, winning with Gasol, winning with Shaq. He's a Laker. Shaq's career at the end was a hodgepodge of weird fits and weird jerseys. It doesn't to me feel as formidable, as pure as Kobe Bryant's career, though many people see Shaq as a greater all-time player. And so I think Giannis and Jokic and Wembanyama and Luka, I think they're going to be with their teams for a majority of their career, and I think it's good for the league. I can think two things. I can think LeBron's mobility was good for LeBron. But if you take LeBron out of it, a guy who's jumped from team to team to team and won, look at Kevin Durant. Should have never left Golden State. He made one jump, perhaps Phoenix two, too many. So we have this perception that the league is too mobile. It's really not. And mobility builds great dynasties. Even the Heatles with 3 Hall of Famers, D-Wade, LeBron, Bosh. 2 titles, 4 years. Not much of a dynasty. So I like the emergence of highly skilled, more loyal European players. I like the layering of it. I miss centers dominating the game. I think they're players that come into this league with a single mission to win games and get better. And I like it. That doesn't mean I can't root for Scoot Henderson or Zion Williamson, John Morant to turn it around. It's not that I don't enjoy watching those players, but the European influence, I think, is good for the sport. It is for my eyes. I loved watching Jokic. I know it's a lot of garbage points in the eyes of younger NBA fans. I thought it was great basketball. Movement, elevation, shooting, passing, everything I love about hoops.